In 2007, Arianna Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post, was at home on the phone checking emails when she passed out, fell, and she woke up in a pool of blood with a broken cheekbone and a cut over her eye. It was reported that she was working 18-hour days. At least 78% of American adults say their stress level increased or stayed the same over the past few years, with 33% saying their stress levels are affecting their mental health. According to a recent report from the American Psychological Association, almost half of adults say stress has caused bouts with insomnia within the past month. Alex Pang, the author of the book Rest, writes, "Today's leaders treat stress and overwork as a badge of honor. They brag about how little they sleep and how few vacations they take. And they have reputations as workaholics, carefully tended to by publicists and corporate PR firms." See, as a leader, whether in business or ministry, life drifts towards complexity. It is reminiscent of the story of boiling a frog. And quickly, here's the story. If you place a frog in a pot of cold water and slowly turn up the heat, it will eventually cook itself because it's adapting to the fast rising temperature. And by the time it realizes that the temperature has risen too far, it's too late. However, if you took a pot of boiling water, threw a frog in it, it would hit the top of the water and immediately jump out. Our lives can become much like that. If we're not careful, things ratchet up pretty slowly until we are overwhelmed and eventually overcooked. I call it drift. There's a scotoma that comes from working hard in your business or ministry and not working on your business or ministry. Scotoma is like when you ask a little kid to go in the kitchen and grab the cup next to the refrigerator. They already don't want to do it, and they may tell you it's not there. Upon your insistence, they go and look and come back with the brilliant observation, it's not there. You assure them, Captain Obvious, that it is, and you send them back only for them to return once again with the statement, it's not there. So then you now have to play the role of Captain Obvious and lead them back into the kitchen, only to find that exactly what you said is exactly where you said it was. And of course, the retort is, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. We have all been there, but this is an example of a type of scotoma. They were not so much being rebellious, they just truly were not seeing it because of preoccupation, disdain for the task, or just plain old not paying attention. The fourth commandment is thou shalt remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Biblically, in the Old Testament, nothing was done on the Sabbath. And in some Orthodox religions, it is still in full effect even to this day. The traditional Sabbath is sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday. The idea of the Sabbath is letting your life lay fallow on the Sabbath. No business or work is to be conducted, not even cooking, and even to the extreme, in some cases, not even being allowed to flip the switch to turn on your lights. Now, don't disconnect. I'm not suggesting that you give up your creature comforts. There is a principle here that I think is extremely important. These days were dedicated to rest, fellowship, prayer, study, relaxation, no exceptions other than emergencies, sick kids, things of that sort. The overarching theme is that they had to plan for the day in advance and then were forced to rest. Think it not strange that every time people overdo it, the doctor recommends what? Rest. In certain situations in hospitals, people are intentionally put into a coma so that they can rest. The Sabbath day was completely devoted to God and to rest, a sort of tithe of their time, if you will. See, the main important part is to let the ground lay fallow. Even in farming, they were supposed to let the ground lay fallow in the 7th year to store up and prepare in the 6th year and then rest the ground on the 7th year. See, the 7th year of fallow was to give the land time to recuperate, to revitalize its proper nutrients. If the land goes too long without rest, it will become unfruitful and it cannot produce. George Washington Carver, aka the Peanut Man, originated and instituted a system of rest and rotation for farming by alternating the crop with peanuts. He had learned that the peanuts put essential nutrients back into the soil and it increased the overall yield of crops. You must understand that rest is important. While as New Testament believers, we understand that man was not made for the Sabbath, but that Sabbath was made for the man. Within the very statement of that should be your answer. If it was made for us, then we must need it. So let me be honest. Why would God rest on the seventh day? Not because he had to. God never gets tired. He did it because he's a good father, and he wanted to demonstrate to us what we need to do. For me, I've used my Sabbath. It used to be on Friday night to Saturday night, and it was in sync with the Jewish Sabbath. And it worked well for me until we started having praise and worship practice on Friday nights. So now my Sabbath is Sunday night all the way through to Monday night. Because I preach on Sunday, for me, that is not a day of rest. So I start mine right after. I take a 24-hour period off from the normal grind of our businesses and ministries. What will happen if you disconnect for a day? All hell's going to break loose. No, I'm kidding. You're going to have to check that drunk monkey called ego, because your ego will certainly believe and think that that's what's going to happen. But the truth is, the world will not stop spinning without you. I don't do it by the law. I do it by faith. It is my way of telling Satan that I will not be so concerned about the work that we do that I will take full responsibility for it. In other words, I trust God. And there's a saying, work like it's up to you, but know that it's really up to God. Even in Leviticus, God said he would bless the 6th year so much that it would take care of them for 3 years coming. See, in other words, he would give them enough overflow in advance to maintain them through the year of rest. Life gets busy. We must understand the need to have some balance. And we have to give ourselves permission to unhook and to get up on the balcony before we end up hitting an iceberg. We are barraged by the cliches of the times, like every day I'm hustling, I'm on the grind. You know what they are. While these are certainly truths for some, they are not axiomatic, or in other words, they are not eternal. You cannot go hard every day, and certainly should not wear that as a badge. Sometimes we convince ourselves that rest time is a luxury offered only when you arrive at your destination of success. We must be cognizant of the idea that working out is based on a rhythm and cycle, stress and then release. It is in the release that muscle is built. Let's take it one step further and move beyond just today. How about the dirty little word, vacation? Put it in the budget. Allocate the finances. Schedule the time to get up on the mountain alone or with your spouse or family and to get with God. Find a place that brings peace for you, whether it be the mountains. For me, it's the beach. Give yourself permission to rest and rejuvenate. Know that it is not a luxury, it's a necessity. People spend their health trying to get wealth, and then they spend their wealth trying to get health. Do your future self a favor. Invest in yourself now. Treat it like an important key business meeting. Don't move it nor change it. You will be shocked at the revelation, the ideas, and the clarity that God will speak to you in the down and quiet times. Don't forget about Mary and Martha. In the Bible, there's a story of Elijah in 1 Kings. He ran down the mountain faster than a horse-drawn carriage. The hand of God was upon him, yet and still he was exhausted. He was actually on a God assignment, and God's hand was with him, yet he still was physically exhausted. One of the greatest attacks of his life came in the time of his exhaustion, and it almost took him out. Can I get real with you for a moment? The body of Christ needs you. I need you. Your employees need you. The business world needs you. God needs you. Please never forget that this is a marathon. It is not a sprint.